There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know.
And thus, for better or for worse, the Bush Doctrine was explained. Because above all else, what the Bush administration knew it knew was that the 9/11 attacks offered Washington an opportunity to recast global affairs in the way of its choosing. If that sounds crass, it shouldn't. It's precisely the word the administration used in the first few days after the attack. "Through the tears of sadness, I see an opportunity," said George Bush. "This is a period not just of grave danger, but of enormous opportunity," echoed Condoleezza Rice. Use of the word opportunity was quickly dropped for reasons of sensitivity, much the way the White House eventually stopped talking of a global crusade. But the opportunities in question were not thought up as a reaction to September 11. They'd been in place for years and just needed a catalyst to set them in motion.
There was then, and never has been since, any evidence at all that Saddam Hussein and Iraq were involved with 9/11.
I, George Walker Bush.
By the time George W. Bush was sworn into office, the authors of the new vision were ready, and men like Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld were able to fill the ranks with ideologues who boasted of seeing the world in black and white.
We have no regrets about going after bad guys.
Who insisted their plan had nothing to do with oil.
This confrontation is not and cannot possibly be a moneymaker for the United States.
And who simply dismissed anyone with a different point of view.
No American should think we're free, the war's over, Al-Qaeda's not coming, and they're not interested in getting us, because that's wrong.
Many of these men were the now infamous neocons, whose new American vision was built around three uncompromising elements. First, traditional diplomacy, as represented by the United Nations, was dead. The United States would now simply operate on its own terms.
The organization is incapable of playing a helpful role in the region.
Second, American policy toward Israel would become even more sympathetic. The neocons endorsed a hardline vision toward the Palestinians and the region as a whole. The third element of the neocon vision was to focus as much attention as possible on the Middle East. The goal was to transform the region in one dramatic sweep, to send a signal to the rest of the world that the United States was to remain the sole undisputed superpower. These three elements were central to the plan devised years before 9/11, and as a result, explain why the administration reacted so quickly and decisively after the attacks, in a way that made so little sense to the rest of the world, and indeed to members of the administration itself who didn't follow the neocon vision.
On the very night of 9/11, while even they were still thinking that maybe more planes were coming, there was a high-level meeting at the White House, and during it, Defense Secretary Rumsfeld said, to the amazement of some of the people sitting there, people like the Secretary of State, Colin Powell, Defense Secretary Rumsfeld said, "We've got to do Iraq."
This grand plan explains both the decision to invade Afghanistan and then Iraq. It explains why Guantanamo Bay was established, and why the cruelties of Abu Ghraib were allowed to continue unchecked for so long. It explains why the neocons' hand-picked Iraqi leader was jettisoned by the Iraqi people the first chance they got. It explains the abstract reasoning for the war on terror, and why sympathetic leaders like Tony Blair were quick to endorse it. This is why the administration first spoke in terms of opportunities. All the neocons needed was an event to trigger the plan, and a president willing to follow it to the letter.